Bel Air, California. In 1926, Manny Torres meets a truck driver to help him transport an elephant to a party thrown by studio boss Don Wallach. Although he is told he is transporting a horse, Manny bribes the driver to transport the elephant. As they drive up a hill, the truck begins to lurch due to the weight of the elephant. Manny and his partner try to push the truck back up, and the elephant violently deflates onto Manny's partner. Manny is assisted by a convoy to bring the elephant to the party. The party is extravagant and over the top, with lots of naked or topless women and an array of drugs. Jazz musician Sidney Palmer plays with his band, and cabaret singer Lady Feizu sings a campy song for the crowd. Arriving at the party is veteran actor Jack Conrad, whose wife Ina is demanding a divorce after he keeps talking to her in Italian and not taking her seriously. Jack gets involved with a waitress during the party. Manny also sees a young woman, Nellie Leroy, arrive as she crashes her car into a statue. When the security guard tries to deny her entry, Manny helps get her inside. He takes Nellie to a room with drugs, and they do coke together. Nellie tells him she's from New Jersey and wants fame, while Manny is from Mexico and wants to make his mark on the film industry. Manny quickly falls in love with Nellie. During the party, a young actress, Jane Thornton, overdoses on drugs while partying with an older man and gives him a golden shower. Manny's boss, Bob Levin, assigns him and his colleague to solve the problem. They unleash the elephant on the party and panic the other partygoers so they can sneak the unconscious Jane through the party unnoticed. A very drunk and intoxicated Nellie then dances her way through the crowd and makes an impression. As the party draws to a close, Nellie receives an invitation to a movie set, as Jane was to have the part. Manny gets an assignment from Bob to take the unconscious Jack to his house. Despite a brief drunken stupor and a fall over the balcony into his pool, Jack is fine and asks Manny to stay with him. Later in the day, Jack goes to work on an epic Crusader movie. Manny is taken along to take care of the extras who pounce on him until he grabs a gun and rides a horse to chase them away. The horses destroy all the cameras, and the director wants to get the last shot before the sun sets. Manny drives to a camera store and waits over an hour for the last available camera. With little time left, Manny steals an ambulance and makes it back to the set in time for the crew to get a sweeping shot of Jack kissing the leading lady and a butterfly landing on him. The crew cheers. At that moment, Nellie shows up on set and meets director Ruth Adler and her assistant director Max. Although Olivia had hoped for the other actress with the tits, she chooses Nellie. She is to play a role in a silent western in which she enters a bar and makes a crude display of herself. The film's leading lady, Constance Moore, arrives and is outshone by Nellie, who impresses both Ruth and a guest from Wallach with her acting. A fire near the set nearly derails the production, but Ruth orders the cameras to keep rolling. Year 1927. Nellie's star begins to rise in Hollywood, and her work on the film continues to outshine Constance, who is upset because it is her money that is going into the film. Nellie's father Robert shows up and tries to capitalize on her newfound fame. Meanwhile, Jack helps Manny find assistants for films. Jack marries a Hungarian actress, Olga Putty, but she shoots him in the arm after learning that he has cheated on her. Manny goes to the movies to see The Jazz Singer, one of the first talkie films. He calls Jack to tell him that things are about to change. Year 1928. Manny finds Nellie again after taking her to safety from crazy fans and photographers. She talks to him about the perception people have of her and how she tries not to let it define her. He accompanies her to visit her mother, who is institutionalized. Nellie is working on a sound film, but the set is too hot and stresses her and Ruth out as she is bugged by the sound technician Lloyd about how loud or quiet Nellie is, as well as other distractions. One of the crew members asks to be let out of the recording booth because it is too hot, but Max forces him to stay there. After the crew finally makes a successful recording, everyone cheers until the crew member collapses out of the booth, dead from heat stroke. Manny goes to another party where Jack shows up with his third wife, Estelle. Sydney and his band are playing, and Faye is also a guest. Nellie is carried by a soccer team and takes the opportunity to kiss Jack in front of Estelle. Faye takes a moment for a sensual dance with Nellie, but it is interrupted by a drunken partygoer who gets between them. As she goes to the bathroom to freshen up, Nellie overhears two men talking about how she has no talent and a voice like a dying pig, which hurts her deeply. She then goes outside and sees her father talking to another woman about fighting a snake. Nellie calls everyone together and asks if anyone wants to see Robert fight a snake, to which the crowd responds with cheers. Jack, Nellie, Manny, Faye, Robert, and other guests head into the desert where Nellie encounters a rattlesnake and asks Robert to fight it. Robert puts himself in a fighting position but fails. As a result, Nellie decides to fight the snake herself, despite the warnings of the other guests. Nellie grabs the snake, which bites her neck. After frantically running around and the others failing to help her, Faye takes a knife and decapitates the snake before sucking the venom out of Nellie's neck. When Nellie regains consciousness, she kisses Faye passionately. Later, Manny recommends Sydney for a job at Kinescope Studios. Bob is impressed with Manny's work and offers him an executive position. But he tells Manny that he has to do something about Nellie because her reputation is going down the tubes due to her constant partying and gambling, as well as her alleged relationship with Faye, which leads to Faye being fired as Hollywood becomes more puritanical. Nellie overhears Manny suggesting to superiors to improve her reputation and sets her up with gossip journalist Eleanor Street John to get her back on track. Sydney starts working at Kinescope Studios, as movies with black actors are on the rise. However, he is upset and uncomfortable when Manny suggests that he wear black makeup. He leaves the studio forever and never returns there. Jack learns that his close friend George Munn killed a woman with whom he was having an affair and then committed suicide. Jack is distraught and gets into an argument with Estelle when she calls his work low art. Year 1930. Hollywood has switched completely to talkies. Manny and Eleanor have been working hard to polish Nellie's image. She is invited to a party attended by other snooty celebrities and movie people, and she tries to project a more genteel and sophisticated image. However, Nellie can no longer hide her disdain for the other guests and goes into a rant before tampering with the food and storming out. Seconds later, she returns and vomits on the carpet and in the face of the party's host. Year 1932. Jack finds that his career is going downhill. He continues to work for Kinescope in low-budget films, but he goes to a theater and finds an audience laughing at his performance in his last film. Jack also reads a column Eleanor wrote after she interviewed him about his waning star, and he goes to confront her. She bluntly tells him that his time as an actor is over, but he and everyone else of his era will be immortalized with their films for generations to come, so he can take comfort in the fact that they left their mark on the industry. Later, Jack receives a call from Irving Thalberg, who initially tells him he has a good project for him, but Jack knows he would be doing him a favor and that the project sucks, which Thalberg admits. Manny is visited at his house by a disheveled and panicked Nellie. She tells him that she owes a gangster $85,000 in gambling debts, and if she does not pay by the end of the week, they'll pour acid on her genitals. Manny initially refuses to help her, but when he sees how desperate Nellie is and remembers their time together, he decides to help. He turns to the Count, a longtime colleague who sold drugs on the set, and is also an aspiring actor. Manny and the Count go to the home of gangster James McKay with the money bag in tow. As McKay fetches drinks, the Count reveals that the bag is filled with prop money, which makes Manny extremely nervous. McKay, along with his thug Wilson, invites the two to an underground location where depraved sex practices take place. McKay leads them to their main attraction, a brutal man who eats live rats. When McKay starts throwing prop money at the man, he finds a drop of water on it and realizes it's fake. Manny grabs a mace and rams it into Wilson's neck. whereupon the other men chase after them. Manny releases a chained alligator and runs on with the Count, narrowly escaping gunfire. Manny picks up Nellie and urges her to flee with him to Mexico. Together with the Count, they pack their bags and go in search of gasoline. As Manny begins to fill up, Nellie enters a party and begins to dance. When Manny stresses that they must leave soon, Nellie breaks down over all the trouble she has gotten Manny into, especially when he tells her how much he loves her. They agree to get married in Mexico and start a new life. A nearby photographer captures Manny and Nellie dancing as they kiss for the first time. Jack is at a party with his latest girlfriend. He meets Faye one last time when she tells him she is going to Europe to work for Pathé Studios. They say goodbye, and Faye looks sadly at Jack. Then Jack quietly goes to his hotel room, takes a gun, and shoots himself in the head. Manny goes to the Count's apartment to get the last of his things, leaving Nellie in the car to wait for him, but she senses that she is no good for Manny and dances dreamily into the darkness. One of McKay's thugs shows up and kills the Count and his roommate. Manny begs for his life, even wetting his pants, but the thug orders Manny to leave Los Angeles. Manny jumps in his car and books it. A short montage shows people attending Jack's funeral and newspaper articles announcing Eleanor's death at age 76 and Nellie's death in her hotel room at age 34. Year 1952. Manny returns to Los Angeles with his wife and daughter. He stops at Kinescope Studios and talks to a security guard who tells him he has a successful business in New York. While his wife and daughter return to their hotel, Manny goes to the movie theater to see Singin' in the Rain. He notices many similarities between the film and his time with Nellie, which moves him to tears as he misses her. Another montage shows the evolution of film from the silent era through the 20th century to contemporary films like Terminator, The Matrix, and Avatar. Realizing that he has achieved his dream of making his mark on the industry, Manny smiles through his tears. Thank you for watching our video on movie explanations. We hope that this video has helped to clarify any confusion you may have had about certain movies and their storylines. We understand that sometimes it can be difficult to fully understand the plot of a film, especially if it is complex or has multiple layers. However, by breaking down the key elements and themes of a movie, it becomes easier to grasp its overall message and significance. We hope that you have found this video to be informative and enjoyable, and that it has given you a better appreciation for the art of storytelling in film. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. We would love to hear from you and continue the conversation. Thanks again for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video.